hit subscribe. I'm in a bit of a more talkative mood. Or like the video. That's way more important these days. Anyways, today's Stoic quote. In Ryan Holiday's book, The Daily Stoic, what we should know by the end. This is a Marcus Aurelius quote. Soon you will die, and still you aren't sincere, undisturbed, or free from suspicious that can external things can. Let's start again. Soon you will die, and still you aren't sincere, undisturbed, or free from suspicion that external things can harm you, nor are you gracious to all, knowing that wisdom and acting justly are one and the same. And this is Marcus Aurelius. From what we understand, Marcus wrote many of his meditations later in life, and he was suffering from serious illnesses. So when he says, soon you will die, he was speaking frankly to himself about his own mortality. How scary that must have been. He was staring at the real possibility of death and not liking what he saw in these last minutes. Sure, he'd accomplished many things in his life, but his emotions were still the cause of discomfort, pain, and frustration. He knew that with his limited time left, better choices would provide relief. Hopefully, you will have a lot more time left, but what makes it even more important to make headway while you still can. We are unfinished products that up until the end. Marcus knew this very well, but the earlier we learn it, the more we enjoy the fruits of our labor on our character, and the sooner we can be free of insincerity, anxiety, ungraciousness, and unstoicness. So, I'm not gonna lie. It's been a hell of a year for my YouTube channel. I mean, you look at my channel, I got 6,500 less now, but I was hovering around 6,500 subscribers for a bit. In February, I went from 300 to 8,000 because of that whole convoy thing. And I found almost every video I posted, I lost about 20 subscribers, but some videos I would gain. And then in the summer, I found a shorts were thing, and I was posting them a lot. And I was living in a fun, living, really cool, loving, living city, Montreal. And so there's lots of content. And I have a lot of content. And now these days, I'm so busy. I moved back to Winnipeg. I'm in an apprenticeship. And like I really enjoy this. I enjoy the people I work with, but my God, I need to finish this for confidence. It's a 3-year program. What's 3 years? To learn this technical knowledge that most people don't know. But my God, if I was to be really honest with myself, I wish I could just do YouTube full time. I enjoy it. I enjoy these videos. I wish I was making so much money that I could hire a team to kind of edit for me so that editing didn't slow me down and it didn't give me that creative block kind of thing. And I wish I could do the things like Mr. Beast. Like, I'd really love to walk around just handing out 10K, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a period in my life when I was 18 to like 21, I was pursuing acting, and I gotta do YouTube and follow your dreams, and I was going about it the wrong way. I was just spamming my videos out to people, and I wasn't really making content. I was just worried about getting views and spamming my videos, and I had a lot more, even more mental blocks back then, and I'm jealous of Captain Sinbad, actually. He's a guy, he makes really cinematic stuff. He also, he makes really funny videos too, like watches Ben Shapiro once, or watches Jordan Peterson once, or watches David Goggins once. I would say check this guy out, and like, it's funny, like, I don't know how much of a front I should put on, how honest I should be, and it's like, I've even applied, like, this guy does like $1,000 monthly coaching or something, and I was like gonna pull out of my savings and like pull out of my down payment fund for a house to like get this guy to coach me, to pay like $1,000 for a couple coaching sessions, and I keep applying, and like, dude never even responds, and like, so maybe he looks at my channel and it's like, and I feel like, we've built a little community here and we have something special, but like, fuck, like, I really, and maybe I think I'm not feeling bad for myself, but it's like I'm just confused. Like, I'm losing consistently like 20 subscribers a week, which sucks ass. Because it confuses me, because I think I'm putting out decent content. I mean, I know like these videos are not as cool as the walking around Montreal, but it's like, hey, I'm doing what I can right now, and it's, I fucking just hate that I'm constantly losing subscribers. It is what it is, but whatever. And I'm still battling with doing the Stitches video because I just really want, like, I feel like there's certain videos that I put out and like that'll really pop off, but I'm like being perfectionist about it, and it might be worth it, like the amount of like, oh, I'm kind of being a bit of a perfectionist, and it's like I find though, like if I were to be honest with myself, like when I was in Quebec and I was studying French and I was doing it every day, maybe I wasn't doing it as hard as I was every day that I thought I was, or that I would tell people I was. I would say I was doing sometimes an hour a day, but it's like 15 minutes, half an hour. But I think I got like so shit on by people there for not knowing French yet or not being fluent yet that it's just like I'm like, look guys, like I'm fucking trying my best. Like I'm burnt out. I'm trying my best. I'm taking on roles because there's a labor shortage and they don't have people to fill these roles that are above me, and yet I'm also dealing with the language barrier. And like I had a motherfucker send me an email saying how I was a loser for even attempting to like do that job and do certain jobs that were out of my league. And like, if I was in Winnipeg at the time, and I keyed a couple of shows, like a couple blocks of a show. Some blocks went really well, some blocks not so much. Could have went a lot better. And there was a big divide because of for one, people in Quebec are fucking prejudiced towards Anglophones. Like, and there are certain degrees of it, and like, there's certain types of prejudice where like, some people just hate black people, but then like there's also some people like black people until they disagree with them. Then it's like, oh, those black people. And I felt like as soon as I got into disagreements with people, it's like, oh, fucking Anglophone, it's so difficult. Like, yeah. And no, I don't know, like fucking. Sometimes life is weird, I guess. I don't know. By the way, anyone that's watching, because my new adoptive family, the nice lady that I call my aunt, but isn't really my aunt, who's who's letting me graciously stay at her place. And I've kind of danced around this subject. Here, I'll fucking tell you what it is. My mother, who, when she left my dad for this plumber, cheated on him with the plumber. My dad paid this guy to fix his pipes, but really he fixed my mother's pipes, which is whatever. Adults can do whatever they want. I never really judged her too much because it's like, oh, she's my mother. But anyways, this dude, and turned out to be a raging alcoholic, gambling addict. I don't really have anything against this guy. It's more how my mom put this guy first above her own children. Anyways, so what happened was, by his request and one of her bitchy friends, she took away my key to her house. And whenever I was there at her house, her new house that my father had to buy her, she would let his daughters stay there. They had a room there. My sister had a room there. I was not even allowed to be in the house with other people, without anyone else there watching me. These people that were younger, these people that I don't know, like these like, fuck, I was 18 and they were like 13, 15 kind of thing. And like she would treat me like a fucking criminal. Like, oh, well, we have to go. Now, Mackenzie, and like, oh, Carissa, if you leave, make sure he leaves. And Mackenzie, I'm leaving. Get out. And while my sister could stay there freely, those girls could stay there freely. And she just treated me like she took my key away. No, you're not responsible. And it's funny because I remember I worked for a farmer and I would he taught me how to pop semi-tires off and pop them off the rim and like patch tires and pop them back on. And I remember I would do stuff like that for him, like weld and do this. And then I remember I came home and I was putting air in my tire. And she came out and yelled at me like, you don't know how to do anything. What are you doing? Just gonna fucking wreck it. You're gonna wreck it. That was her thing. I would always like to fiddle with things when I was younger. And she'd be like, don't, you're gonna wreck it. I remember I completed a Rubik's Cube when I was in grade 5. And she kept yelling at me, saying I'm a cheater, and I didn't do it. And I remember when kids would come over and play with me, she'd be like, don't play with Mackenzie. He just fucking cheats. And what else? What else is there? No, I remember my father had to, like, calm her down. Because she would, like, lose her mind over stuff all the time. So I think she just felt bored because she never really had a job, and she kind of lived off him. And her biggest accomplishment was that she divorced my dad, and she got a lot of divorce money, and which she lives off of. And She always claims that she made his business happen, yet his business has like doubled and grown. Yes, I have a wealthy father. Yes, let's get that out of the way. I'm not dancing around that. I'm not trying to hide that. I know it's not cool to have a father who's well off or anything like that. But anyways, when I was coming back, I I wanted to come back to Winnipeg and make a stop over to Vancouver. And I wanted to live in Vancouver. Like when I was in Montreal, I was planning on moving to Vancouver, and I said I'd like to stay with you for a couple days. And it was no, you're gonna make it turn into more, and I know what you're doing. You're just trying to sneak in here right now. You can't be trusted. And she let my sister and her husband stay at her place for weeks or whatever when they needed to. And but for me, it was no, no. I'm too anxious. I just like living alone. But it's like okay, but like if I needed a place to stay and I was on the verge of homelessness, could I come stay there for a bit? No, no. So she gives all this, and her friend, who was like a childhood friend, and they would go in and out of each other's life. This lady I started talking to, and I call her my aunt because I would call her my mom, but I find that's almost disrespectful to her children because it's like, well, it's weird to call her my mom in front of her kids and stuff. So I just say my aunt because I've become extremely close with this lady because she's been more of a mother to me than my mother. And like, it's weird when she does stuff for me because I'm like, when is she gonna throw this in my face? Because anything my mom has ever done for me, she's thrown in my face later. Anything she's ever done, she'll throw it in my face later if we get into an argument. And the funny thing that my mother does is, for one, I'm going to point out, I think she had a very rough childhood. Her mother was alcoholic. Her mother beat her. Her mom's boyfriends were total complete pieces of shit. But my, I'm losing my train of thought here. But my mother, like if I have the slight disagreement with her, she'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're right. I'm just the worst mom ever," and not like, "Hey mom," when like okay, for example, every time I talk to her, she'll accuse me of being high, and it's like I don't fucking get high, or I rarely do, and I don't appreciate that you always think I'm high. Like it's kind of like disrespectful. Like and she'll always laugh at me like, "You're so high right now." And I said like, I don't find this funny. Like if you could stop doing it. I've asked politely like many times. She's also suggested I get rid of my cat many times. I don't know why. When I went for my class one, she suggested I not get my class one. One day it was because I'm too irresponsible, I'm stupid, and I'm gonna hurt someone. And then the next day it was, oh no, that's such a dirty job. You wouldn't like to do it. That's disgusting. Truckers are disgusting. Yet she was dating a plumber at the same time. And I'm not shitting on the trade of being a plumber, but it's like she was shitting on the trades and saying it's disgusting, yet she was dating a dude who was in the trades. So weird. And I just don't like how she would take credit for anything I did. Like, I didn't like either of my parents being involved in my sports because I liked it to be a thing about me and no one else. And that's why I like track and field because it's like, you know, hockey's a weird thing because it's like, ugh, parents got to spend so much money on you. I like track and field because it's like, bought some pairs of spikes and that's about it. And it was all me, no team, just me and my performance and how much I trained. And so, anyways, to get to this big monologue of, I probably seem like the biggest victim, but I've totally let this stuff go. I'm just explaining to you why, why I'm staying with the random lady, who is my aunt. She's my adopted aunt. I consider myself, she calls me this too. I'm not some weirdo on the internet saying this. I consider myself the Jon Snow of the family because I'm like the adopted bastard. So, and they treat me well. They treat me just like a part of the family. Hell, these people that I barely know. Hell, her daughter, like the 3 interactions that she's had with me, treats me more like a brother and sister than my own sister ever has. Has had, but just how nice she's been has been nicer than my own sister has been to me. Whatever is what it is. C'est la vie. But anyways, yeah, my mom was like, "Oh, I don't want you to like live with me because you're." I'm like, "Why?" She said like, "Because you scare me." I was like, "Well, why do I scare you? What have I ever done?" And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I know people that have like they were heroin addicts or they got out of jail for fucking manslaughter or killing a dude, and their mom took them in. And I was like, what did I ever do? Like, she always treated me like I was some fucking drug addict or like some coke addict when that was never true. And she always treated me like a fucking criminal. And I could not stand it. And I never did anything that bad when I was a kid. Like, I started to lash out because she treated me like a fucking criminal. And she's like, well, when you were 12, you threw a wiffle ball bat at me. And yet she always accuses me of not being able to let go of the past. Yet, like, she'll grow. I didn't talk to her for 6 years. And she always tried to follow me on Instagram and talk to me through people, or her friends would contact me. And then finally I gave her a chance. And then she started to say shit like and put me down and like, oh, you're angry. You're angry just like your father. And I said, look, mom, like we haven't talked in 6 years. You don't know who I am. And she said, you're angry like your dad. And I said, yeah, well, we didn't talk for 6 years. You have no idea who I am. She's like, well, we didn't talk for 6 years because you called me a fucking bitch. No, I was the one ignoring you, not, and it just like blew my mind how like reality changes for her, and it's just like I don't have the energy for it anymore, and I'm tired of fucking explaining. Like, you know what bugs the shit out of me, and like people, whatever. I live in a first world. Like nothing that bad happened between me and her. It's just I don't have the energy for it. How like everything turns into an argument. But you know what? Like I can't stand how some people of the older generation, like if they find out I don't really chat with people in my family that much, or I'm only close to one parent, or that they say, oh, that's wrong. You should talk to them. How do you, like, first of all, there's people's parents. My parents never did, but there's people's parents that like molested them and did bad shit. So for you to say shit like that to random people and you don't know what the background was, that's kind of ignorant. Like, I'm all for, you know what, I think most people should not really live their trauma out, and like you need to deal with that shit internally. But like, you know what, sometimes it is like, I don't know, I don't think I'm better for sharing my story or anything. I don't think I have a particularly hard story, but it's like this shit exists, and like you have to move on. And I'm listening to David Goggins' second book right now, and it's just like, yeah, no, I have to let go and like pretend these people are fucking dead. Anyways, but another nail in the coffin was yeah, so she might let like the boyfriend who, oh yeah, and then I found out from oh, here's the funny thing, she treated me like I was a criminal and I was stealing shit and stuff. Didn't turn, you know who it turned out to be? It turned out to be his fucking precious, my mom's boyfriend, the plumber boyfriend, turned out to be his fucking daughter that was stealing shit from her. And everyone thought it was me, but it fucking turned out to be her. So fuck that chick. And also, like, I was the immediately first person to blame because I'm a fucking criminal. And I've talked to friends of my mom, and they're like, she clearly hates men. And so it explained to me, like, it kind of was an explanation for, like, oh, why was I always the bad kid? Why was I always the asshole? It's like, no, she just doesn't really like men. And I think things have happened to her in her life where it's like she just doesn't like men. And that's whatever. And it's just a lesson to me, like, no matter what relationship I've been in that's maybe shitty, I'm not going to hold a grudge against women. Because you know what? There are women in my life that I'm really close to. And it's like, to be honest, I'm not going to lie. I went through periods of my life, like, where I'm like, fuck, man, just get the shaft all the time. And like, and that's not true in every perspective or every situation, but it's just like, honestly, if I were to be honest, like, I think I had like one dude that was a bully to me. And like, most of my tormentors in life were like, happened to be females. So it's like, I didn't really buy into the whole men are assholes and men abuse women. Like, because it's like, in my life, I was like, no, I fucking see it the other way. I see like the sneakiness and like I grew up in a small town where all these popular girls and like all the teachers like loved and believed everything they said, and like they would bully dudes and get them in trouble. And so it's like, no, I didn't really fucking buy into the, yeah, men are assholes and swine and shit. Like, cause it's like, I can see why women think that. But it's just like, no, I've seen the other perspective. So it was hard for me to even like wrap my head around that men might have a privilege in life. And it's like, they do. But I also think women have a privilege in life. I'm not diving into that subject right now at all. But yeah, no, it turned out to be that daughter stealing, and some other people said, yeah, like he would tell your mom all the time that he doesn't trust you, that he was trying to get you out of there, and it's just like, okay, whatever. And I was just a piece of shit, and she chose this guy over me, and that's fine, whatever. I don't fucking care. And but I guess I'm really tired of dancing around like why I don't really talk to my mom, and those are some of the reasons. And like, you know what, like, I'm just tired of the big speeches from her, like, oh, you know, I've done things wrong, but she's never apologized for anything, and which I don't care, I don't need an apology, but I don't like how she constantly brings things up from the past, and if I bring things up from fucking last week, I'm a loser and a victim, and I live in the past too much, yet, like, she'll bring up things I said, like, 15 years ago and throw it in my face. So, like, that's exhausting, and it's like, I have a life to build, and, like, I feel really bogged down by her. And like anytime I did anything, like I wanted to live with her so I could be a volunteer firefighter and like learn a lot. And like those are some great skills that'll help me get other jobs. If I even don't pursue becoming a firefighter, it looks great on my resume. And all she did was knock me down. Said, "Oh, it's just another thing you'll start, not finish, and you don't fucking do anything, and like you just start stuff and you don't finish." Which is not true. There has been some things that I've started and not finished. I haven't finished my skydiving ticket. That's after my pilot's license. Um, but it's just like I don't know. I just felt like she didn't really do a lot in her life. She hasn't had a job for 30 years, and she didn't really do a lot, and so she needed to knock me down. I guess I don't know. It's fucking weird. Like other people in my family really push me up, and some people in my family think I'm a fucking loser, which I don't care. And like everyone in my family was like, "Oh, cinema is stupid," and like it's not consistent. It's not consistent. Okay, well during COVID when fucking everything was locked down, you couldn't even get a haircut. I was busy beyond belief. I got like I was allowed to like travel within Canada without having. Normally, people going from east to west, from Quebec to Manitoba, would have to quarantine for 2 weeks. I didn't because I was considered an essential service, and films were going. Films were going in like July, like they came back way before other things came back, and like film was one of the first things, other than like construction and like the hospitals. Like film was one of the first things to come back, and like construction slowed down considerably because of COVID. And now it's like now there's tons more projects being built, but like no, I like, and it's just like I don't know. It's just I find like I feel shit on by some people in my family, and like, oh, I'm a loser, and like, cause I did YouTube and stuff, and I pushed it, and I did kind of more out there things like throw events and stuff, but like, I was considered an asshole for doing those things, and it's like maybe I talked about myself too much as a kid, and like maybe I have like narcissistic tendencies that like I need to really work on, and I think I probably do, you know. And that's something I can't stand is like when you're working on yourself and like you go through these periods of journaling and really trying to better yourself, you just like what you don't need is people throwing your past in your face and like talking about how you were a year ago or 2 years ago. And I find that's what something my mother did. My mother really liked to throw things in my face all the time and talk and say like I'm basically a criminal and you're dangerous and you're scary. And it's like why? Oh, because you threw a wiffle ball bat at me when you're 12. It's like, oh, okay. So it's just like it's a fucking waste of energy to talk about it. I probably shouldn't have just unloaded it on the internet, but I don't really care. So and it's just like it is what it is. And like I don't know, it's hard to say this, but it's like, yeah, sometimes family ain't shit and like you need to just walk away and it'll save you. It'll save you heartache and you're not gonna get that apology and you're not gonna and like there's certain people in my family where it's like, yeah, they won't apologize and I don't care, but they don't throw the past in my face all the time. Actually, here's something. Me and my father have both said very harsh things to each other in the past, but you know what? We move forward. I can talk that like maybe it is almost psychotic. Like there's been times where we're like, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. And then like a week later we talk like nothing happened. Because it's like, why? And like I found me and him, we got in like a lot of verbal fights and we got a little physical with each other. Like after the divorce, and my mom cheated on him and left, and like I think we both felt a little abandoned, and we were like out in this house in like rural Manitoba and kind of just fighting and both feeling like losers, I guess. I don't know. But no, like he always had my back. That's the thing. He always had my back, no matter what happened. Like he always had my back. So, oh, and he thought cinema was fucking stupid too, but no, but he eventually saw like the money in it, and like I guess a lot of people in Manitoba in general, because it was a growing industry. I'm just really tired. It was a growing industry, so then like I think it's funny because people always ask me about it now. They're like, "Oh, there's a new studio being built. There's new this. There's new that," and it's funny because like I think the one cool thing about cinema that And someone that I met for coffee on the weekend was like, I think the best thing about cinema is how everyone asks you about it and thinks it's really cool, but then you like go to work and you're really miserable and you work 80 hours a week. See, I'm very happy with my new construction job because it's like I work with people that are very secure. I work for a bunch of crane operators, and all they do is teach me stuff, and they just want to pass on their knowledge. And a lot of them are assholes, but they're assholes to everyone. And there's no like hierarchy where you gotta bow to your way to actors, and the actors don't have their own food or their own toilets, or like this toilet's for actors, and like how this you see some people just kissing the actor's ass and then turning around and yelling at you. It's just there's not this like weird insecurity, and something about cameras and actors and fancy people from LA makes people feel insecure about themselves. Anyways, that was enough of Mackenzie being tired and unloading his feelings on the internet. And I don't know, I think it's just I was listening to David Goggins, and I don't think I've had like major traumas in my life. I've been bullied and like I've played mental games with people in my life, and I think I've had like everyone has like a narcissist or two in their life, and everyone has these relationships that you don't let go of. And like my mother said, oh, I learned from going to the psychologist that I have abandonment issues. Yet like, and if I were to look at like how I was with women when I was younger, I had a really hard time letting go. And it was weird. Like I couldn't like get over breakups, and like I would just try and fix shit. And I would like contact my exes like constantly, like trying to fix stuff to the point where it was fucking crazy. And it's like it was crazy for fuck's sakes, but it's like I just like yeah. It's hard to admit, and like because it's like most people don't want to admit that they've had they were bad at relationships when they were younger, and like yeah, no, I just felt when I was younger, and even I had a hard time letting go. Um, and I felt abandoned when someone left. But it's like in the last couple of years of my life, it's like I'm proud of myself because like my last relationships, I felt very disrespected by someone, and I was like, no, fuck you, we're done, bye. And like I've learned every year of my life and every month of my life, I like hanging out with myself more, and I'm fulfilling myself with my hobbies and going to the gym and studying and enjoying my job and making YouTube videos. And it's like I don't like have time to hang out with people that I even like, so I'm definitely not gonna hang out with people that disrespect me and that I don't like. Fuck you, Victor, by the way, you piece of shit. Um yeah, so anyways, if you've made it this far, feel free to like the video and subscribe. I feel like I might delete this video, but nah, fuck it, I'll keep it up. Started as a Daily Stoic quote. I'm having a good time tonight. Anyways, ciao for now, bye.